What I'm presenting today is one way that Swivl can be used in the university classroom. I'm going to give a brief overview of the Swivl Basics. Now, the good news is it's incredibly user-friendly, and so I've listed some resources in the PowerPoint, which I'll show you on the next slide, and there are also numerous resources on the Sandbox website that will help you get started, and I think it's user-friendly enough that you would be able to figure it out. So I am going to share with you three distinctive purposes that are aligned with the ISTE standards throughout today's presentation. We will also compare the basic and pro Swivl features. So the basic would be the free version, and the pro version is $50 per account. So it can be quite costly, so it's important to understand the differences so that we know, does it warrant spending on the pro accounts. And then we'll get into some benefits, challenges, and some useful tips for overcoming those, and hear from some students. All right. So just an overview of the basics. So Swivl is a secure platform for recording, storing, sharing, and commenting on videos. I left out editing. Editing is also an important feature of Swivl, and so it can be downloaded on most devices for free. So I do have a student sharing with how she downloaded it on her phone to complete an activity outside of class, and she'll share with you how she did that. These are the links that you can go to. So this presentation will be accessible on the Sandbox website, so you can go to any of these links. It's very easy to download and to create an account. So each semester I email Debbie Fuller and give her my class roster and let her know who needs Swivl accounts. And in fact, so I say I do that at the beginning of every semester, but I had a bright idea about 2 weeks ago that I wanted to try a Swivl activity with a different section in my ISTE 422 writing course, and Debbie was able to get my students' accounts within a matter of 24 hours. So thank you. That was very helpful. So we could even do that off the cuff. And so here's the link to the Sandbox, so you can access the first series of Swivl presentations that does go into more detail about the Swivl Basics if you're interested in going back. All right, so this is just a breakdown of the regular and pro version of the account. I learned a lot about these differences this semester because, as it turned out, one of my sections had a pro account and one of my sections had a basic account. And in previous semesters when I've used Swivl, my students had pro accounts. So I had some expectations for students that they were unable to follow through with. And so we had to do some problem solving, and then I realized where the problems were coming from, and it was in the differences in the two accounts. But the main difference, and this is where we encountered some problems, is both accounts you can record unlimited videos and they show up on the student's account. They can view them as many times as they want. They can also edit their videos, and they can trim and rename those, no problem. They can share via a web link. So what that would mean is that they click on their video, and when they click share, they have to copy a link, and then they can either post that on your course site or they can share that with you by way of email. And so that was a major difference for us, because the pro version, they can just directly share it with the instructor, and so it takes out a few steps. And so we realized when the students were having difficulty sharing their videos, we realized they needed to copy the link. So it wasn't a huge challenge, it was just a few extra steps. Another major difference is being able to comment on students' videos, and for students to be able to comment on each other's videos, and I'll demonstrate that in a minute. All right, so for my purposes in ISTE 417, I had 3 very similar but distinct ways that I used Swivl. So I'm going to show you how these align to the ISTE standards first. So first we used it for collaboration, practice, and accountability. And so that aligns with ISTE standard 4C, using collaborative tools to expand students' authentic real-world learning experiences by engaging in virtually with experts, teams, and students. And then we also used it for feedback and reflection, which aligns with Standard 1A, setting professional learning goals to explore and apply pedagogical approaches made possible by technology and to reflect on their effectiveness. And these ladies are going to speak to how they did that in just a moment. And then for scholarship, which aligns with Standard 1C, staying current with research that supports improved student learning outcomes, including findings from the learning sciences. So Swivl is an excellent way for us as instructors to look at our own pedagogy and reflect on what is most efficient and effective for teacher candidates applying their knowledge and skills. So, in talking about feedback and reflection, Brianna B. is going to give you a little bit of context about one of the assignments that we did.
So in the beginning of the semester, we were given the task to find a focused child. We got permission from their parents to basically study the child, and then we had a developmental progress questionnaire filled out in the beginning so that we had an idea of what to look for when focusing on the child. So my child, for example, was the daughter of the first grade teacher at my placement school. And she filled out the questionnaire. She didn't really have a lot of concerns, but I built on that. And then from there is when you wrote your first developmental progress report and then your paper. So then Dr. Hooks brought us to a room. We actually did not know what we were about to do. And there we practiced having a conference with an avatar on the screen. With Swivl, we had the tablets sitting at our desks, and we were timed. I think we had about like 7 to 8 minutes to have our conference. The avatar would interact with us, and then we were able to see different real life scenarios of what it would be like to discuss a student's progress or any kind of needs or concerns that we had with a parent. You'll probably see that video soon with me, but we all did it, and then we, our second time around, after we did the second part of our report, we did it with our peers instead of the avatar, so that we had practice. One of us was a parent, one of us was a teacher, and then the other one took notes and feedback, and then we just rotated.
When they did this, then the students went back to view their videos, and they had a reflection prompt. And so what they did was they used their Swivl video to reflect on specific aspects of how the interaction went. They were also given a best practice checklist of certain items that I would be looking for in terms of building rapport with the family member, introducing themselves, defining any key terms to reduce educational jargon, talking about students in a respectful, unbiased, strength-based manner. And that was a really, I think that's what prompted my use of Swivl at the onset, was that when teacher candidates are learning how to talk about children for the first time, while they have great intentions, when we're talking about student needs and concerns, it's very difficult to say that in a way that is sensitive to a family member. And it's really interesting because some of them have even been able to identify that in their placements now when they hear staff members communicating about children. And so it's made me very proud that they really have mastered that skill.